had too much wine, that's amore. Bells are ring, ding-a-ding-a-ding, ding-a-ding-a-ding, and you'll sing Vita Bella.
Buongiorno.
Hearts will play, tippy-tippy-tay, like a guitarra.
Well, actually, this started about 22 years ago. Myself and Dennis Prettis were contacted by a local Italian organization and its members. Actually, they're headquartered in Denver, Colorado, the Tirolese Trentini del Colorado group. And there was a Trentini conference in Denver, and a lot of people from that province were at the conference. And they knew that there were many families that had come from that area and settled in the Roaring Fork Valley. So they were on their way somewhere else, decided that they would like to come to Glenwood and meet these people. And so at the restaurant, Dennis called me and I said, yeah, we could put something on. And so we had this nice little party with about 40 to 60 people. They get out of their buses and they have accordions, and there's a lot of wine, and we're having food and things like that we had prepared. And it was really a big song fest. It was really nice. Had a lot of the old Trentini people here. And it was a great time, and we felt pretty pleased with ourselves, and we never thought much about it after that. About 2 years later, we got to thinking we ought to do this like the old Italian families used to do when in the valley, when they weren't fully accepted into the community, much like the Latinos, where they would go to someone's farm and they would have these big summer fests and whatnot. So as it turned out, we did it again. And then we didn't do it the next year, and then the following year we did it again, and we've been doing it ever since. So this is about our 14th straight year, and it's so much fun. I think, in fact, it takes place of to me, it's more fulfilling than, say, Strawberry Days, which was the coming together of the communities, a big celebration in June. Now, people actually plan their vacations around the first Sunday in August so they can meet a lot of the old timers and make that connection with people that they knew from years and years ago. So it's turned out to be a nice event, and it's very peaceful. You get to eat well, drink well, listen to good music, and see good friends, and I think that's Italian right there.
That's great.
Now, you said 40 the first year. Do you remember what your growth curve was on attendance, approximately going to the second and the next?
Oh, it's growing pretty good. Well, it doesn't seem as busy, but last year we did about 385 or so. So, numbers of people that were here. And that's just about where we're going and whatnot. We're getting a lot of the younger people involved, so, that's good too. Because somebody's going to have to carry this on, and a lot of us are getting a little old for all the physical work that goes into it, but and that's good. I think that's family, that's neighborhood, that's community.
Excellent. Who are some of the original families that are still coming?
Oh man, there's you look around at the name tags. A lot of the old families, especially. Are represented. The Prettis, for example, from the Trentini, the Del Passes, and I don't want the Ruggieros. There's a lot of families from there. A lot of people from Valdosta, the Demoses, the Jerabazes, the Blanks. My grandfather came from Veneto, but up in the Dolomiti. My grandmother from Ligure, above Genoa, and so pretty much all northern Italian. We have Calabrese, we have people from that area, from the south. It's pretty eclectic, We have a pretty good cross section of people. And here's my friend. Come on in, Dennis. Here's the other sort of co-founder of this debacle, huh?
I just call it an extravaganza.
Yeah, it's a good one too.
We,
but Dennis and I, this is the guy that he and I got this thing going, and it's just something we look
labor
forward to.
Labor of love.
Yeah,
and
it's all
people
of that.
have no idea how much time he's worked in the last couple of days to get food ready for this thing.
But it's nothing. It's like your mother feeding the neighborhood. That's what it's all about. Nobody, everybody's welcome and nobody goes away hungry. That's for
Boy,
sure.
that's for sure.
Okay.
That's for sure.
Mr. Prettis, what part about the picnic do you like best?
Just the friends getting together who may not have seen each other since the last picnic, and forging new friendships, meeting new people. It's just the sociability of the event. It's
Do you feel a sense of history?
well, you feel a real sense of community because I don't know whether Ashton mentioned over 100 years ago when the Italian immigrants came into the valley. They had to stick pretty close together because they were at the bottom rung of the, they're the last ones to come into the country. So there was a real bond back then, and it's great to be able to use an event like this to keep those
It's
bonds
pretty
of friendship
typical
going.
too. They sure needed their labor, but they didn't particularly want their friendship. And
Right.
we see that in the valley and in the state today, with the Latino population. They're going through the same metamorphosis that all these other ethnic groups have gone through. And if people are a little more tolerant, this would even be a bigger and better event. And they'd have theirs. And
Right. One of
maybe
the
just
interesting aspects of this thing is we have no fewer than about 7 or 8 city council members. Myself and Ash and I were both ex-mayors. We got another ex-mayor over there on the grill line, Bob Zanella. Another ex-mayor who hadn't Fatter gotten back yet. He was down here this morning, Mike Fatter.
Yeah.
So we've all assimilated into the community over a few generations and tried to give something back to the community, and not only through this picnic, but just through being involved in Glenwood,
Public
which
work.
will always be my home,
Yep.
even though I don't live here anymore. So there you have it.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Have a great time.
Thank you.
And just remember one thing, stress that you need to be Italian to come.
When you dance down the street with the crowd, be sure to
I was born in Carbondale, Colorado, July the 23rd, 1932.
And you?
Oh, I was born in 1942 in Rostock, Germany.
And do you know when your family came here to?
Yes, my father came here in 1907 and my mother came in 1926
And where did they come from?
from Italy, the very extreme northwest corner of Italy.
And what did your family do when they came here to Colorado?
My father worked in the coal mines and the quartz mines and worked for the railroads and generally manual labor, immigrant type of thing.
And you were a potato farmer, correct?
That's right.
Could you tell us about that?
Yes, we raised potatoes for 50 years out here between Glenwood and Carbondale where I live now.
And when did you and Mrs. Jammeron meet?
And what was it? March the 12th, 2004.
I'm his second wife.
And could you tell us about this event here, the Italian picnic? What does it mean to you? And
It's something I look forward to all year. I see all my friends, and have a good time at a party.
do you know how many families come to this?
There were about 300 people last year,
Yeah.
and they figure at least 350, probably closer to 375 this year.
Wow. And so what else have you done in this valley besides potato farming?
I've been a general contractor, and I still am a general contractor, and I take care of an irrigation ditch to boot.
And you're still living here in Glenwood, well, outside of Glenwood, correct?
That's right. For 67 years I've been living there.
Wow. And you have family living here in this valley as well? Could you?
Yes, I've got a sister and a brother in this valley, and another sister in Grand Junction, and 2 sons, one in Glenwood and one at Thomasville.
And
and their families. 4 grandchildren too.
Or grandchildren? And could you tell us what you love about living in this valley, in this area?
Something new happens all the time, and things are always changing. You see a lot of new people. And old timers that I knew when I was younger are fading away. It's quite a difference, but it's something you live with, keep up with.
And when you were a boy, where did you go to school?
Most of my schooling was in Glenwood. I did go to 3 country schools too. Besides that, one up in Missouri Heights and Cardiff and one at Cattle Creek.
And who were your school friends, your friends from school?
I've got a friend here named Henry Call. He and I have gone since 1st grade together. We went all the way through school.
And what was his name?
Henry Call.
Henry Call?
He's Italian too.
Yes. And any of your other friends still alive?
I've got quite a few of them still alive. Unfortunately, I've lost quite a few of them too.
Is there anything else you'd like us to ask?
Yeah, why don't you ask Rosemary what she likes the best about this
But what?
What do you like best about this picnic?
Picnic, because I'm European, and when I met Leo, I was happy that he had Italian parents, so that kind of tied me to Europe. And I even made some Italian salad for this picnic. And Leo said, my wife, since I'm German, I'm full-blood German, he said, my wife can do anything, so that's what I did. And he inherited 6 other kids and 8 grandchildren, so we have 8 kids now and 12 grandchildren.
I was born in Alice Superior, Italy.
And when did you come to America?
1920.
And how did you get here? How did you get here? Can you tell us about how you got here and the whole process to ending up here?
Well, my dad was here. He's a coal miner here in Glenwood Springs, and he sent for us, and my mother and I. And I was 6 years old when I came here. I've been here ever since.
And what have you done in this valley? You're a rancher, correct?
Well, I started out working in a wholesale house, and then I went into farming, and then I worked both places for a long time, and I ended up farming. Now I'm retired, 92 years old. 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
And could you tell us about your family? Are any of them still alive, living in this area?
No.
No?
I've got some, I had a couple cousins back east, and they had some kids, and I've lost track of them now. So I don't have anything, but my daughter lives here in Glenwood. Yeah.
And when you were a kid, where did you go to school?
I went to school in Cardiff. That's just about 3-4 miles south of here. A little country school.
And when you came to America, did you speak English or did you learn when you were a kid?
No, I had to stay home for a whole year until I could speak English.
And anything else you can think of that I need to ask?
Any comments on this picnic? What does this picnic mean to you every year as an event, an opportunity to get together?
Well, I never get out and see anybody, and I meet people that I know here. Otherwise, I wouldn't see them, you know.
Well, I get the sense this is kind of like an extended family for a lot of people.
It is,
here.
yeah.
Like a reunion?
Yeah, it is, like a reunion.
And do you see people here you haven't seen for like an entire year or longer?
Or some of them more than that, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I don't drive anymore. I quit driving last fall, and so I don't get around very well, you know.
You were driving until you were 91 years old?
Oh, yeah. I could still drive. I still got a license for a couple of years, but well, they tagged $1,000 on my insurance, and I says, to heck with it. And then I was in the hospital for 3 weeks, and I just quit driving. My daughter takes me anywhere I want to go, but...
How many children do you have?
Just a daughter, no.
Daughter. And do you have any grandchildren?
No.
Could you tell us about your ranch up at 4 Mile?
Well, I sold it in the main ranch in '68, and now they're subdividing it. They're building. There's about 8 new homes on it. Yeah. And then I had another piece of property about a half a mile from it. We sold it last fall, and that was a big mistake because you can't find nothing now to replace it.
And what did you do on your ranch? Did you have cattle?
Raised cows and potatoes and everything when I farmed. Now they don't.
What's your absolute favorite thing about this event?
Well, about this? Well, I think it's good. People get together and stuff, you know. Yeah, otherwise, there's people here I never see. They move to Junction here and there, and some of them shows up today, and I get to see them.
Well, we'll make sure we look for you when we come back next year.
Well, I don't know. I'm getting up there, you know.
Oh, you still got at least a dozen more of these in you, Primo.
Oh, no, I don't want to be that long.
Oh, you're in outstanding shape, especially for 92, sir.
Yeah, well, my mind's still pretty good, but yeah.
Thank you.
You bet.
We really appreciate your time.
You bet.
Thank you.
You bet.
I'll come back with you.
Well, I was going to walk down around here and
You know the Pilates? Did you say hi to them?
Pilates?
Yeah.
Happy birthday, dear John. 100 years. Happy birthday to you.
You said one little comment earlier when I came in and talked to you about this being like family. Can I just ask you about what this event means to you and John every year when you come in?
Well, we see people that we haven't seen for years, which has happened today, and it's just a great time to be. And of course, we are people that like people, and I think everybody here is the same way, because they'll just come back year after year, and it's just a wonderful time. We just look forward to this every year, and this year I thought that we might not be able to make it because John hadn't been too well, but he's doing okay, and he's had a pretty good lunch.
I'll say
so
a good
far.
Italian meal will certainly.
And the lady asked me if I was going to want some dessert, and I said, oh my goodness, of course. And so you see what I've got here.
You've got plenty for the both of you.
Plenty for both of us, yes.
Tell me about the person you saw today that you hadn't seen for how many years?
Well, I would say it was probably pretty close to 40. I haven't seen her. She was one of our daughters. Well, she wasn't in the same class, but a year or so older. And her husband, which was in high school at the same time. And they moved to Fruita. I thought that they were in Rifle the last I heard, but they moved to Fruita, and so they came up from Fruita. And I would have never recognized them, for one thing, not being able to see, but they're looking great. And it just made me feel so good to see them. But so many of them have come by already, and I hope that they all come by, because we just aren't able to get up and walk around like we used to.
They'll find you. Absolutely, they'll find you.
Well, I hope they do, because I wouldn't want to miss them.
Excellent.
Yes.
Well, I'll let you get back to your dessert. It's good to talk with you both again.
Thank you, Mark.
Well, I was born in Glenwood Springs, and that was at Dr. Porter's hospital, which was the old First National Bank building. It was the second or third floor of that building. That was the U.S. Bank building. So you know where that is.
Yes, I do. And
that's right.
When were you born?
Oh, when I was born. Well, that was 1937. That was some time ago. It was October 1. But the interesting thing is and I got to take that back. I wasn't born where I told you I was. That's where my wife was born, because the doctor there was Dr. Porter, and that was her grandfather. So I was almost telling you a story there. I was born up the street behind the bank in another doctor's hospital that was in Glenwood. That was Dr. Hopkins. So Hopkins, that was where kind of the poor people were born, but in the bank building, that was those that had enough to pay for a birth. Now my dad was up in the high country because he was a cowboy. That was Adolph Demos. And when I was born, he was up tending cows up in the high country, which was North Thompson. So it was the old North Thompson Range, and he was taking care of about 1,000 head of cows. When I was born, Dad couldn't pay for the doctor, so he shot a deer for the doctor and brought the deer to pay for my birth.
And where'd you go to school?
Well, I went to school in Glenwood, graduated in the greatest class that came out of this high school, 1955.
And
go ahead.
Which was it, your grandparents or your father or great-grandparents that came here from?
It was really the grandparents. So the grandparents came a little bit after 1900, and they settled in Woody Creek. So a lot of my aunts and uncles were born in Woody Creek and in Emma. You know where Emma is?
Yes, I do.
That's right, up by Basalt.
I live over there.
Yeah.
And where did your grandparents come from?
They came from the Valle d'Aosta in Italy. And that would be at the Swiss-Italian-French border. And you've always probably heard of St. Bernard Pass, where the St. Bernard dogs really got their training to help people when they got lost up in the Alps. Well, just a very short distance down on the Italian side is the Valle d'Aosta. So that's where my family came from, and probably, I would guess, 50 other families in the turn of the century came from that valley to this valley between Carbondale and Aspen.
And what did your family do here?
It was really farming and ranching. It was potatoes and cows and things of that nature. Yeah, so it was all ranching. It's interesting then when the grandparents came over, they really lived in the barns of the people that were here, but in time they ended up owning most of the valley from Aspen to Carbondale, buying up the ranches because they were very hard-working and frugal people.
And could you tell us, what did you do after you got out of high school?
After I got out of high school, I went to college for 4 years, got out of college, and then went to California, of all places. So in 1959, I was a system engineer with Southern California Edison. That would be the electrical power company from California. Really a great, great company at that time. But I only spent about 3 years there, and Dad said, come on back. I need your help in construction. So I've been in construction with Dad. He started in 1948. I came back in 1961. And my son, John, came back in 1989. So we've been in construction since 1948. So 2 years, it'll be 60 years.
And could you tell us, what does this picnic mean to you?
Well, it's kind of an enjoyment of all of Italy. There's kind of a dichotomy of the northern Italians and the southern Italians, and they all come together and say, by golly, we're all Italians. But strangely enough, those from the very north, they spoke a dialect of French. Now, why did they speak French? Because just very few miles away was France. And the Duke de Savoy would come in and take that country over, and then the Italians would come in and by war take that area, and it went back and forth, until finally Mussolini said, no more speaking of French in Aosta.
And are there a lot of your friends here?
Yes, very much. So a lot of high school friends. As I say, we have a great class. There was only maybe 32 or 33 of us, but a very great class here in Glenwood.
And a lot of them were Italian?
I don't know if they were. Maybe they weren't, but they were just a total mixture, I'm sure. Up in the upper valley, there was more of the Aostans. But you do a good job.
Thanks.
How long have you been coming to this picnic?
Oh, how long have you been coming to this picnic?
You know, I was trying to think of how long it's been here. It's been quite a few years, but I've got to say that whenever it started, probably at that time.
Wow.
So, and I don't remember. You got to remember that if you think something happened 6 years ago, in reality it was 12.
Anything else you want to tell us about this event or the history of our county?
The history of, I think the greatest story, the real story that happened here was these Italian immigrants. They really were immigrants from Italy, but really their language was a patois, and a patois means a dialect, and it was a dialect of French. So they all came into this valley, probably 50 families, and they were really frugal, hardworking, and eventually truly ended up owning most of the valley from Aspen to Carbondale and beyond. So it was that legacy of people who wanted to advance in the United States. I know my grandmother was born in 1875 in Aosta. When I asked her, why did you leave Aosta? And she said the government was so intrusive, they were taxing us. If the windows in our house was too big, the taxes were too great, and we just felt that we had to leave. So there was a future for us, we felt, elsewhere, and that's why they came here. So one or two families came, and they said, you've got to come to this valley, and that's what happened. I've got to tell you a story. As I was walking away, I saw Cliff Cerise, and I said, Cliff, you got to come up here because there's a story I've got to tell. When I was in high school, when I was in grade school and you were in high school,
that's right,
in Carbondale, there were two guys that used to pick on me. It was the Green Boys and
Lions.
the Lion Boys, the Greens and the Lions, and they were toughies. And of course I was I wasn't a toughie. But lo and behold, here I was. I can remember as they would pick on me day after day, and Cliff would have to get on the bus to go home. And Cliff really had his fill of it, and so he took those two guys as they were getting on the bus, grabbed them by the collar, threw them in the irrigation ditch in front of the high school in Carbondale. And the old high school in Carbondale had a neat old irrigation ditch running right through it. So he was my hero from the very, very beginning, and they never touched me again.
Never bothered you again, did they? That's
so
right.
You got some good stories.
They picked on you because you was just a little kid,
That's
cute
right.
little kid, and they picked on him, So.
Yeah. So anyway, you've got some stories to tell too.
Oh, I don't know. Like what?
I don't know.
When and where were you born?
I was born in Carbondale in 1929, just out of Carbondale, on what's now called the Cerise Ranch, but that's where I was born now.
And when did your family come here to the States?
My grandfather first came to the U.S. in '86. Then he went back, served in the Army, came back again, then went back and got married, and then came back in about 1900 to Leadville, and he stayed there. And my dad was born in Leadville, Colorado, in 1907, and then they came to the Roaring Fork Valley, and when Dad was a year old, in 1908.
And what brought your father to Roaring Fork Valley?
Well, I remember Grandpa always saying it reminded him of the old country. The mountains of Aosta and around in there, and that's the reason he came down here. But he liked that,
And what did your family do?
When they came down here, they bought a ranch. They was all ranchers. On my dad's side and my mother's side, they were ranchers. My grandfather up there came to Aspen, and they had a ranch up at Woody Creek, and so they've all been ranchers.
Cattle ranchers?
Yeah. Well, at that time, the potatoes and hay and cattle and different things, so.
And where did you go to school?
I started grade school in Woody Creek, and then was in Crystal Springs down in Carbondale, and finished high school in Carbondale. And I went to spend a little time over at Colorado A&M going to school, but not too long. I finally decided to come home and be a rancher instead of anything else.
And how long did you ranch?
We just sold our cows a couple of years ago, so it's been, probably damn near 50 years. In fact, it was 50 years, a little over 50 years that we run cattle up in the valley in different places.
And could you tell us about this event and what does it mean to you?
What they
Could you
need.
tell us about this event and what does it mean to you?
Oh, the ranching?
The Italian picnic.
Oh, great. You see a lot of people you don't see other times of the year. The only time you see all these people is when there's a funeral or a wedding or a picnic, and that's about it anymore.
And how does any of your family still live in this area?
My mother and dad are both gone. I have a couple cousins that still live here, and my children, and that's it. Each year it seems like we get a few less in the family.
And is there anything else you'd like to tell us about the history of this area or your family?
Well, not really too much, except, like I say, they all they work ranches, raise potatoes, and grain, and hay, and cattle. And it seemed like that was just in my blood to do the same thing. So I done it until I couldn't do it anymore, I guess you have to say.
You know, we're the luckiest people in the world to have so many friends.
What brought you to the valley?
She wanted to go skiing. After 12 kids, she wanted to go skiing. What a woman she is. And she wouldn't go last year. So last year she didn't ski. So I got to find another woman, I guess. We've only been married 63 years. Is that long enough for her to stay with me?
I think so, yeah.
Do you know how to do that dance, Dana? Oh, I thought maybe I'd ask you to dance.
I'll learn it and then next year we'll dance.
I like to do the Y dance. You know how that is? Just hold them real close and say Y dance.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you both for
Hey, thank you.
You're welcome.
We're a couple of monkeys, but you know why monkeys have so much fun? There's so many of them. You know why there's so many of them?
Because they have so much fun.
That's right.
Tiki-taka, tiki-taka. Tiki-taka, tiki-taka. Tiki-taka, tiki-taka. Salute! Cheers na zdrowia!